Recently, there's emerged a term for what describes the Germans at the time of Hitler, the rise of Hitler. It's called mass formation psychosis. Mass formation psychosis. And mass formation psychosis is the the process by which people really start to believe that some of the most outlandish or insane concepts are actually real and embraced and tested. And so, with the example of the Nazis, they started to really believe that their fellow man found something gravely wrong in the Jews. And even if each individual didn't understand the gravity or the grave issue, they believed their fellow man because the Nazi Party had achieved the spectacle of, like, great numbers of people who had worked this out, and all these people haven't worked it out. The majority of people punt. The majority of people are shopping for opinions. So once the person who they believe is always walking around, their favorite smart guy is always walking around with this opinion or that opinion, they'll adopt that opinion because that's just the opinion they're willing to bet on because their favorite smart guy said that. So in every community, there are one or two smart people that people will outsource their thinking to. If that person says that shit, they're going to start saying that shit. And look no further. It's mass formation psychosis here in America. Critical thinking was attacked on campuses because the Marxist professors, right? And if you had any independent, free thinking person, maybe his grades would get hurt. I mean, that really should be against the law because right now you've got people believing that it's somehow moral to allow criminal behavior, people to cross the border, police brutality, all this kind of stuff. And you say, how did they get that way? Look no further than the fact that most people have outsourced their thinking, and the media and the so-called approved of smart people in liberal communities gave them all marching orders, said this is a belief or this is a talking point that's really got backing. Each individual doesn't check the backing; they just have outsourced things, so they just believe and follow their cult leaders. You understand? Most people are in a cult. Most people just don't even really study. Even when you're in school, you just copy what the teacher says instead of trying to dig deep and gain mastery or understanding. We've reserved for that level of thinking. It's called a doctorate. So most people do not go on to doctorate level thinking. They are just regurgitators. Well, what happens? The regurgitators, their job is to copy the official thinkers in the community. And the left has installed these bogus bullshit official thinkers. Now, on the right, there are official thinkers, but the left uses their platforms to make all independent thinkers that lean to the right, they cast them as having some problem. Look no further than the understanding of why people have Trump derangement syndrome. Look no further than that explanation. It's the people who are corralling the masses that are creating a narrative where Trump is evil. No matter how much good Trump does, it's okay not to pay attention to the good that he does because none of your friends are. Nothing that Trump does is worth your friend's attention or respect. So even if he did a great good, the funny thing is, if the kind of good that Trump just got finished doing is the exact same kind of good that someone in the Democrat Party had done, you will see an outpouring of gratitude for that person. And then when you see that Trump did the same kind of thing, you won't. This shows you this is not critical free thinking. This is not critical free thinking. This shows you that it's the essence of polarization. It's us against them. That's it. If you did a great thing, it's actually bad because your greatness is a detraction for me. So that is not rational. That isn't a world where you have standards of good and bad that are overarching and apply to both sides. No, only your side is good and only the other side is evil. I mean, talk about a dumb way to approach reality. But we're here. You got people out in the streets doing this shit. Now, is that way of thinking viable? Well, humanity can absorb a certain percentage of people that have no critical thinking. That's what a welfare system may be about. That's what you know, medical health care being offered to some people in certain slices of the population. Anyway, you get the point. Um, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Are we going to be collapsed by the sheer barrage of stupid? Interesting, interesting. The people that have been feeding this crap thinking, unrefined thinking, anti-American, um, Anti-1776 origin story. Anti-Trump, anti-conservative, anti-God, anti-traditional family. These people are pumping this ideology and groupthink into our country in order to destroy our country. They are disrespectfully approaching our impressionable minds, the impressionable minds of our children. I can tell you this: repent for being foolish enough to let foreign interests approach our children with that much openness. It is not good for a nation to be open to let your children just hang out with and talk with your enemies. Now, if your kids have been refined and you allow them to go there once they're finally kind of been trained up to that point, then you let them face treachery, you let them face wrong think, and you let them figure out why wrong think is wrong or where it went wrong. But it's absolutely foolish when your children have no aptitude at discernment to let your enemy hang out with your kid. Your child will become your enemy. Anyway, it seems like that's where we are. But I do not think that those people on TV, on YouTube, in those clips of those riots, they're not a majority. They are not a majority. They are the population. They are the best that all the 30, 40 years of indoctrination could create. And it's still not a majority. So will we have a civil war? These are my thoughts. We're already having a civil war. We're already having a civil war. We didn't settle the Civil War. When the Civil War was in the classrooms, in the staffing at the universities, we thought we could take it. We thought we could abide just eating, swallowing lies. When there was a civil war in the media, we thought that we could abide swallowing lies. And so that's what you're looking at on the street. You're looking at the result of just swallowing lies. You had too much faith in your fellow man to discern. You had too much faith in all these homes, all these families prepping their kid with some sort of street smarts or some sort of resistance to bullshit. Those families failed. Heck, we allowed people to peddle anti-family principles, so those families failed even more. So family is the one really to put the kid's head on straight, and that was broken. So then they go, all right, so we allowed all of that. What is there to learn? What is there to learn? You can't just let people come into your country and lie against your country and avoid this kind of thing that we see out here on the streets. Even though they're a minority, it's kind of stupid that we let it happen. Now, how do you mitigate it? You got to have public service announcements about critical thinking. You got to have public service announcements about Marxism. You got to make socialism absolutely an fundamentally anti-American thing on the grounds that it necessarily vilifies the rich. It necessarily punishes. It necessarily strong arms the successful. So that's why you have to outlaw it. It won't even be a distant hope in this country if it is clearly outlawed on the grounds that the government will never get behind the vilification of success. Now, where does all your charity come from? The same place that your charity came from before. There were enough religions, all types of religions, where charity allowed those communities to take care of different situations in those communities. Most of your charity is going to come because of good people, not because of government. Anyway, we got a lot to think about, but it's absolutely stupid that we let our enemies talk to our kids for this long, for 30-something years, and not learn what that does. This is the lesson, America. You don't let the Soroses, you don't let Rothschilds or BlackRock or whoever you think is grooming our nation's kids. You don't let them do it. They will put voices to try to stop you. You need to acquire an outline of what government-run socialism is and community, tribal level socialism, where people take care of their neighbors. But empowering a government, and a government is not a person, a government doesn't have a heart. Empowering government it's been a bad experiment 23 times, and the Russians themselves outlawed the Communist Party. We need to do the same thing. Make it illegal to mobilize in the name of socialism or in the name of stealing from the rich. Success is just, I don't know what to tell you. I shouldn't have to say this. Somehow it flies under the radar, this simple fact that success is good. We cannot be treating success as if it is a bad thing. We can't allow bad things, theft, to come to people on the grounds that they were more successful. We are shooting our own goodness in the foot. It is an absolutely crazy and evil twist of the mind. It is coming out of the spirit of Cain to resolve inequities or inequality of outcome through a justified theft in the name of policing other people's compassion. Let me tell you, if you subscribe to that shit, you are a vacuous, stupid, wrong-headed motherfucker.